Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're talking about something you do literally every single day, probably without even thinking about it. Data handling. Yeah, it's all about turning a total mess of information into something that actually makes sense.
You ever get that feeling that Netflix, knows you? How it just serves up the perfect movie you didn't even know you wanted to watch? Well, it's not magic. It's all about data.
Yep, the secret is data. And look, this isn't some super technical computer thing, it's just information. And it's shaping our world in all these incredible ways, from what's on your screen to the traffic lights you wait for every morning. So yeah, data is just information, and it's absolutely everywhere. Those smart traffic lights? They're using data on traffic flow to decide when to turn green. Your doctor? They're using data from thousands of past patients to figure out the best way to treat you. Even when you're doing math, every problem you solve gives you data on what works and what doesn't. It's all about using what you know to make smarter choices.
Okay, so here's the thing. Raw data, it's kind of like a messy room, or a bookshelf, where all the books are just thrown in there randomly. Sure, all this stuff is there, but it's not very helpful, right? You can't find anything until you start to organize it.
All right, check this out. We've got a list of math scores for 30 students. It's a total jumble. Now, let's say your principal, let's call him some job in law, wants to find every single student who scored below 5. Quick, can you find them? How long would it take you to scan through all that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with a name like that, you know he means business. But by the time you've picked through that whole messy list, those students are out of there. It's a perfect example of why just having the data isn't enough. You need a system.
So, the very first step is super simple. But honestly, it's a game changer. You just arrange the numbers in order. Smallest to largest, largest to smallest, doesn't matter. We call this arrayed data. And just like that, you've started to bring some order to the chaos.
Okay, so our data is in order. That's a great start. But the real magic starts when we begin to group it. That's how you start to see the patterns hiding inside.
What we're looking at here is a frequency distribution table. Now, frequency sounds technical, but it just means how often or how many. And boom, instead of that long, messy list, you can see in a second that 3 students got a 4, 4 got a 5, 6 got a 6. For a teacher, this is amazing. You can immediately see which scores were most common. Same for a business trying to figure out its best-selling products.
And I bet you recognize this awesome little tool right here. Tally marks. We've all used them. It's such a simple but brilliant way to count things, right? That little slash for the 5th one makes counting up groups of 5 so fast and way less prone to mistakes.
Okay, but what if you're dealing with hundreds or thousands of numbers? Counting every single one would take forever. So we get clever. We group them into ranges, or class intervals if you want to get official. It's like sorting things into buckets. Instead of individual scores, you'd look at scores from 10 to 20, then 20 to 30. It helps you see the big picture without getting lost in the details.
All right, this is where it gets really cool. We've organized the numbers, but now we're going to make them talk. We're going to turn them into pictures, into visual stories, using graphs and charts.
First up, the good old bar chart. You've seen these a million times. Its superpower is comparing things that are in different categories, like which product sold the most, or, in this case, how fast are different types of vehicles. And look at that. You don't even have to read the numbers. You just see it. The car's bar is way taller than the scooters, which is way taller than the bicycles. Your brain gets it in a split second. That's what's so powerful about visualizing data. It makes comparisons totally intuitive. Next up, we've got the pie chart. So if a bar chart is about comparing different things against each other, a pie chart is all about showing the pieces of a single whole thing. Like how you spend your monthly budget, or what percentage of people chose which option in a survey. And making one is actually pretty straightforward. It's just 3 steps. First, you add everything up to get your total. That's the whole pie. Second, you figure out what fraction each piece is of that total. And third, you take that fraction and multiply it by 360, because there are 360 degrees in a circle. That tells you exactly how big to make each slice.
So if we do that with our vehicle speeds, the total speed of all of them combined becomes our whole pie. And it makes perfect sense, right? The train is the fastest, so it gets the biggest slice of the pie, a whole 120 degrees of that circle.
Okay, one quick thing that trips people up. A histogram. It looks a lot like a bar graph, but notice this. The bars are all touching. There are no gaps, and that's the key. A histogram is for that continuous group data we talked about, like test scores from 0 to 10, then 10 to 20. One group ends exactly where the next one begins. No gaps.
All right, let's pull it all together and review the awesome toolkit you now have for making sense of any kind of information that comes your way.
So you start by cleaning up the mess and putting things in order with array data. Then you start counting and sorting with frequency tables. And finally, you bring it to life and tell the story with pictures, bar graphs when you're comparing different things, pie charts when you're looking at parts of a whole, and histograms for those continuous ranges. Every tool has its own special job.
And that's really what I want you to take away from all this. Data handling isn't just some boring thing you do in math class. It's like a superpower for understanding the world around you. Think about it. Your screen time, your grades, your spending habits, it's all data. It's all around you. So the real question isn't what is data, but what story is your data telling you?